that. And so if I am so focused on staying on the line, I can't fulfill my assignment. But my God is big enough to handle my fault, my strokes, grubs, my mess ups, because he's already prepared for what I might do. He knows what I'm going to do before I do it, and he already made preparation for me before I get there. What follows darkness is light. That darkness is the indicator that light is getting ready to shine. So there it is in Genesis, when darkness was upon the face of the deep, and God in the spirit form moved upon the face of the waters, and then God said, let there be. Because darkness precedes the light. Are you understanding what I'm saying? But he needs the darkness there so that God can move upon the face of the deep, so that the shift can take place. Listen, look at your neighbor and tell your neighbor that shift take place in the darkness. I didn't hear what I just said. Everybody's not going to see the shift that's happening. They see the chaos, but they don't see the shift. They see all the craziness going on in your life, but they don't understand that underneath the darkness, God is moving in secret. He's moving in quiet. He's moving in the hidden places. He's moving in the cracks and the corners and the crevices. He's moving in places that you cannot see. And when the light comes, they're going to see a new order. But untying. And so the universe then has no choice. First attribute of the secret place. The secret place is a place of revelation. It makes you free because it awakens you and makes you consciously aware that everything that you thought was holding you is an illusion. Hello, everybody. Hello, and welcome to the Emerge movement. I'm so glad that you decided to join me this afternoon and be a part of this conscious conversation. Thank you for all of you that are already on with me, and then those that are on their way. Some of you have already began to do this, and I please do this for me. Just take a moment and tag and share. Invite others to come and be a part of the conversation that we're going to be having this afternoon. I don't intend to be on long. And I say that all the time, but I really don't. I really don't. This is just a brief conversation, something that's been circulating within my mind and soul this morning that I wanted to kind of get on and share with you, and to get your insight, your feedback, your feelings, your thoughts concerning it. I sent out the text and made the post that we would be talking about the abundance of time and space. And then just as I was preparing to come on, it hit me that I should add in there redeeming the time, a conversation about the abundance of time and space, redeeming the time, because that word redeeming is such a potent and powerful word. And so I thought I would add that to the topic, and then we're gonna dig into it. So take a moment and invite others to come and be a part of the conversation. Let me try and get over here to the comments and see. Those of you who are on now, I see you. I see you. Thank you so much. And others that may be on, there's only just a handful of us. I think I'm showing there's 6 of us on right now. So all 6 of you just say hello or good afternoon or something. And it's okay, because I mean, those who don't see it live, they'll catch it on the replay. But I just kind of want to just get into the conversation and tell you what I am mulling over, what's being ruminated within my own mind and soul, and then get your insights, your input, and hopefully we'll all be empowered by the conversation. So the topic again is redeeming the time, redeeming the time, the abundance of time and space. How many of you have ever find yourself saying, I wish I had more time? There's not enough time or hours in the day. If I had the time, I would do this, that, or the other. If I had the space or the room, then I would do this. I wish that I could do this. I wish I could stop time or turn back the hands of time, or that I could freeze time for a moment and just let it remain where it is, or that I keep running in and out of time. How many of you ever found yourself making those kind of statements? Man, I need more time. Boy, I wish I could, you know, or I have thought about time travel and thought, man, I'd really like the ability to be able to travel or move through time, to navigate this thing that we call time. And what exactly was the author meaning? It is believed by most when the author Paul uh, says redeeming the time. It's believed by most that Paul is the one who wrote that particular statement. That when he uses this term, redeeming the time, it is from the aspect of purchasing back or taking back or reclaiming time. Something that if you watch any of the Senate and House hearings, you'll hear different legislators use the term reclaiming my time. And they usually mean, they have a certain amount of time that's been given to them in order for them to address an issue or ask a particular question. And if the person they're asking or addressing starts to filibuster, that is, starts to just talk randomly so as to avoid the question, you'll hear the legislator who's asking the question, redeeming my time. That means that they stop the clock so that their allotted amount of time does not run out, and the person who is talking doesn't get to just use up all the time. that's been allotted to them. And so when he uses the term redeeming the time, he is speaking from the perspective that each of us as individuations of Spirit of God, divine, unique expressions of God, have been given a certain allotted time in the earth, and that the time that we cannot afford to waste time or to lose time, because it takes away from that small sliver of time that we have been given to navigate this three-dimensional experience that we call life in the earth. And so he says we have to redeem the time because the days are evil. He's saying don't waste this time. Don't spend this time in frivolity, in things that don't matter. Don't waste time and energy doing things that don't really profit you, because the days are evil. But I'd like, for the purpose of this conversation, to expand the definition to a more academic definition of that particular word. It does not just mean not wasting time or purchasing back time or holding on to time, but redeeming also means that you are making full use of. And it gives the connotation of not that time is limited, not that that you are given this brief sliver of time, but that you have a responsibility, an obligation, and also an opportunity to make full use of this tool, this mechanism, this vehicle that we call time. Now, I want to approach it from that aspect and from that perspective, because I think that it is the more accurate um, um, perspective or perception that we should adopt. Because when we talk about time, most of us think in terms of chronological movement based upon the Gregorian calendar and our 24-hour day. Scientists have kind of divided uh, our existence in the earth based upon a 24-hour day. Now, that's not always been the case. As a matter of fact, we see an illustration of this in the Genesis narrative, where it talks about, and the evening and the morning were the first day. So it showed that the evening and the morning were considered when the clock would start. Not the morning to the evening, but that the evening to the morning was considered a day. And that really consisted of about 12 to 16 hours rather than 24 hours. You understand what I'm saying? The point of it is, and what I want you to understand, is that time in reality is a human construct created by humanity or mankind as a form of measurement. And it is useful as a form of measurement. But just like so many other things that are created by humanity, it is a two-edged sword. It is useful as a tool for measurement, but it can also become detrimental when we think that we are somehow eternally tethered to time. And therefore, time begins to dictate our behaviors, our actions, our choices. How many times have you heard of women saying, I'm running out of time, my biological clock is ticking, And so I've got to, if I'm going to have children, if I'm going to have a family, then I need to hurry up and move forward because the time for me to have that has almost passed. Or you hear men by the same token say the same thing, that, I'm getting older and time is passing by. And so the time for me to be a father, the time for me to have a family is passing me by. If I'm going to do it, I need to hurry and step into this and make it happen. We have mentally, based upon our concept of time, uh, tethered ourselves to the constraints that accompany time. We have begun to think of ourselves as the servants of time rather than time being the servant of us. It's our creation. Let me say it again. God didn't invent time. God is timeless. God exists in timelessness, in infinity, infinity. Mankind, humanity, came up with the idea of time and its constraints along with it. And as a consequence of not fully retaining a full conscious awareness of our own divinity, we found ourselves changing positions where the creator became the servant of the creature or the creation. The creator, the one who came up with the concept of time, then became tethered and tied to it and began to serve time rather than time serving us. You see, because it is a human construct, it is not based in anything that is definite. It is an illusion. Everything that has happened, is happening, and will happen is all happening right now. We are only fully conscious of this moment that we are consciously aware of, but we are not bound to this particular time and space that we are in, because we are divine spirit. One of the aspects of divinity is omnipresence, which means there is no place that God is not, which means there is no place we are not. So then, we exist in every time and every space, but we are only conscious of this time and space that we are in at the moment. We have the capacity to be fully conscious of ourselves in all time and space, but that because we have not been taught that, trained to think that way, we are then tethered to the time that we are consciously aware of at the moment. And then we call that time reality. The fact that it is an illusion is illustrated by the thing that we call daylight savings time. If time were a constant, then you couldn't just decide to change it at one particular date in the year and decide, well, you know what, instead of it being 12, it's going to be 1 o'clock. Or instead of it being 1, it's going to be 12 o'clock. The fact that we can arbitrarily, at will, just decide that the time is different shows that it is an illusion subject to the decisions, choices, and the conscious awareness of mankind. I'll give you another example. In Ethiopia decided some centuries ago that their calendar would have 13 months versus our having 12 months. As a result, it is the year 2022 here in these United States and around much of the Eastern world. But in Ethiopia, it is the year 2014. Now, is their existence any less a reality than ours? Absolutely not. But they decided to measure time differently than how we measured time. I'll give you another example. It is now, let me find my clock. Where is it? I'll use the one on the computer. 12:40 p.m. here in DC on the East Coast. But those of you who may be watching me a few states over, it's only 11:40. Go a little bit further to the west, guess what? It's 10:40. Are you understanding what I'm saying? Go over to England and it's what is it, 12:40? So it's about 5:40 in the evening. If time were a constant, then it would be constant across the globe. But it isn't constant. It is set by how mankind has decided to measure time in various time zones or places and spaces, and determined that the time would correspond to how they have determined to measure it. Why? Because time in and of itself is an illusion, a useful illusion, a useful mechanism, a useful construct when it is used as it was designed to measure. But where it becomes destructive is when we began to place ourselves in the position where we become the servant of that time, where we are tethered and tied to the parameters set by a imaginary clock that we have created. And so you start to think that you have to live your life based upon this imaginary clock called time. I have to do this because now I'm getting old. What if those of you who are whatever age you might be, I were able to produce a birth certificate that said you were 5 years younger than what you think that you are? Here is a authentic, certified birth certificate that says you are 5 years younger than what you have always believed and thought you were. How would that change your life? How would it change your decision making? How would it change the choices, opportunities, and options you believed that you have? You see, many of the choices and decisions that you make, many of the opportunities that you have an expectation of, are tethered to your concept of time. You reach a certain point, a certain age, and you start saying, well, there's no need in me expecting X, Y, Z. I'm too old for that. Or I shouldn't expect A, B, C. I'm too young for that. I don't have enough time for this. Who decided that you don't have enough time? I'll tell you who. You in your belief, your elevation of a human creation to the place of an inevitability. And now you have found yourself subject to something that is really subject to you, serving the servant. Oh, goodness. Yes, you are now in the position where you are serving the servant. And so now, because the sun rises and sets, you keep saying, I'm running out of time, I'm running out of days, I'm running out of years, I'm running out of weeks, I'm running out of months. And because we have collectively, as a society, as a species, decided to agree that this is how time is going to be measured and operated, then we all collectively reinforce our own delusion in saying that you don't have enough time. Then you make adjustments to what it is that you decide to do, the choices that you make, and all of a sudden you say, I've got so much time on my hand. But did the time really change? Were the days extended? Did they become shorter? No. It's just how you thought about them and then the choices that you made based upon your thought. You have an abundance of time because you control your concept perception of time. How time serves you is determined by you. And yes, one of the most difficult things in the world to do is to begin to make a choice and a decision to perceive what has become a societal norm in a different way, other than different from everyone else around you, because that opens you to the criticism of being crazy. You loony. You lost your mind. Okay, so they think you're crazy, but you have just gained an abundance of a commodity that everyone thinks is valuable: time. You have as much time as you desire to have. You have as much space as you desire to have. You create space for yourself by decluttering your own consciousness, decluttering your perception and your perspective. You create space and expand the borders of this thing that we call time, so that it now takes the proper position of serving you rather than you serving it. You stop allowing it to dictate when you do this and when you do that and how you do this and how you do that, and whether you choose this at this particular moment in your life or that in this particular moment of your life, because now you understand that time is here to serve me. I am not here to serve it. Can I stretch you a little bit further? How many people or persons have you encountered in your life, especially those that we consider younger, who yet have a maturity level, a insight, a perception, an understanding of how things work and operate that far exceeds what we have determined their years? There is a soul that has yet to learn to be constrained by time. Remember, you already know everything the moment you enter this three-dimensional earth. You are taught to forget what you know and to begin to believe. But you encounter a soul that is individualized in a form that we have determined is only 13, yet they have the wisdom, insight, understanding, and knowledge of someone who is 45. And we put a number value on it because we are still tethered to the time frame. When in fact, that you have encountered a soul that is now liberated from the constraints of time and just expanding, expressing, and being itself in the moment. Are y'all understanding what I'm saying? I hope that I'm making sense to you. I hope that I'm making. Oh, let me go to the comments. I've kind of kept going. So let me go over here. Right. Laura says time is an illusion. It is. Kamara's like, oh my God, yes. We're programmed with time instead of using a different word. Yes. I needed to hear this today. I'm not controlled by exactly. None of us are. Okay? None of us are. None of us are controlled by time. Time is here to serve us. That's right. We only become controlled by our creation when we submit to the creation and allow it to dictate the behaviors, the choices, the decisions of the Creator. Are you understanding what I'm saying? So we created this thing with the intention of having a way of measuring, and then turned around and became its servant, and then it began to control our decisions. And so now you feel like you can only make certain decisions at a certain time, depending upon the time that it is. How many times have you seen someone who likes to have, and Dee Dee is like this, I don't care what time of morning it is, we can go to IHOP in the morning for breakfast. She's going to have a sandwich or, chicken sandwich or some kind of, something that you would normally eat for lunch. Who decided that in the morning you have to have eggs and grits and bacon and sausage? Who decided that at night you have to have, chicken or steak or hamburger or whatever? Who decided that this is breakfast, this is lunch, and this is dinner time? We did. We determined those things, and we can change it whenever we choose. Now, I'm not even talking about on a large scale collective for all of humanity and society, because I don't believe that we're there yet. But I believe in us gaining an understanding of it now. It gives you more control over your own life, to know that you are not bound by time nor any of its constraints. You are not too old. You are not too young. You do have as much time as you need. You are not moving too slow or too fast. You are moving at the pace that best serves you. Who determined you had to complete college in 4 years? Who said that you had to? Are you understanding what I'm saying? And so you find yourself filled with anxiety or guilt or shame. I've been in college for 7 years now, and I ain't got my degree yet. So what? Who decided that it had to be done in 4 years? Who decided that it had to be done within inside of this box of these constraints set up by us? Time is here to serve us, and we move and navigate through time at a pace and a space that best serves our purpose, not the other way around. We are not driven by the rise and set of the sun, by the revolution of the earth around the sun, by the rising tides up and down of the moon. But those things are subject to us. Are you understanding what I'm saying? Laura says, yes, wow. Why are we programmed in these ways and later learn new ways? So I place myself in a space that I can already get out, but not allowing myself to. Now this right here, yes, exactly. I hope that it's a game changer. It really is. When you start to understand you are not constrained by time. Okay? Yeah, that's good. She says she's not programmed. That's good. My daughter will eat eggs and sausage at night. Exactly. Yes. You decide what best serves you. Are you understanding what I'm saying? What? Move at the pace that best serves you. Don't be driven by this imaginary clock that we created and created it to serve us as a tool of measurement. And yet now we have become its servant and allowed it to drive us, to push us, to force us to do things and make decisions and make choices that under other circumstances we would not make. But simply because we think that we have to serve this thing called time. It governs every part of our life. Well, we've only been together for 3 years. Who decided that you've only been together 3 years? And who said 3 years is not a long time? As it relates to measurement, the human measurements that we use in perspective to 50 years, it doesn't seem like it. But even in one of the sacred texts of the Bible, it is purported to, Jesus is purported to say that, not Jesus, but God is purported to have said, a day is as 1,000 years, and 1,000 years as a day. Whew, do you get that? I'm trying to stay calm. I've been working on this all day long, not to get too hyped and start yelling and carrying on. So y'all got to help me. Okay. But he was trying to, in that particular text, in that phraseology, to show us the liquid nature of time. That time is bent and twisted and shaped and formed to serve us. So that for a divine being that is not bound by time, that is timeless, endless, infinite, a day is as 1,000 years, and 1,000 years as a day. Did you get that? A day is as 1,000 years, and 1,000 years is as a day. There's this in the imaginary illusion created within the minds of men concerning heaven. That there is a line in one of the hymns from a hymnologist that says, when we've been there 10,000 years, bright shining as the sun, we'll have no less days to sing his praise than when we just begun. He's saying that after 10,000 years have gone by, we'll still have just as many days ahead as we do behind, because time is an illusion. The idea that is perpetrated and purported through our ancestral preaching is that we head to a place called heaven, where time will be no more. Every day will be Sunday. Always howdy. No more goodbye. Y'all remember those phrases coming up in church? We were tapped into something that was the divine part of us trying to pierce through the religious dogma and get us to understand that heaven is right here. Hey, it is a state of mind, a state of consciousness where time is of no factor, where every day is exactly the day that you decide that it is. Hey, because it is a day that the Lord has made. You are Lord of your garden, Lord of your life, and you've determined to rejoice and be glad in it. Every day is exactly the day you decide that it is. And that is no more goodbyes and always hellos, because there is no end nor beginning. It is infinite and stretches beyond the boundaries of time and space. Are y'all hearing what I'm saying? I'm going to get back to the comments. This is good teaching. I will decide what will serve me when I say so. Absolutely. That is our power, our authority, our essence as divine beings. When you understand time is an illusion, this knowledge removes limit. It absolutely does. It removes the constraints and the limitations of that vehicle that we created called time. We all are into time, work being somewhere at a certain time, events, parties, is all based on exactly. And we become a slave to it. And so we tell people, you're late, you're early, you're on time. But on time is arriving or doing or achieving at the moment that you have determined best serves you. You're never late. You're never early. Are you understanding what I'm saying? Those are social constructs. I'm about to come to that right now, Kamoria. I am about to come to that. That's a great question. What are your thoughts on time travel? Okay. That's God's time is what we learned. 1,000 years is as a day, and a day as 1,000 years. It was really putting forth the idea, promoting the idea that time is an illusion. Because if you think in terms of the three-dimensional existence of this mechanism we call time, how in the world can 1,000 years be a day and a day be 1,000 years? It can't, not based upon the way we measure time, and not based on any measurement. But when you understand time doesn't really exist, it is an illusion. It is a vehicle that we've created. It is a mist, a vapor that is only here to serve us. And when we have no use of it, we can operate in it or outside of it. Hey! Let me say, calm down. We can operate in it or outside of it. We can choose to operate and move and navigate through and in time. And we can also choose to operate, move, and navigate outside of time. Okay? You know, some people think that when they go to heaven, 1,000 years is an eternity. Yeah, they do. That's so true. Yes. That's something you've agreed to, though. Work schedules are something you agree to. You agree to come in at a prescribed time and leave at a prescribed time. You decided to tether yourself to that particular measurement because all of humanity has agreed this is how we're going to measure time, and using this measurement will determine how to compensate you based upon the measurement that we've agreed on. Okay? And there's been nothing like the pandemic to show just how useless that is. Because there are literally millions who would work within a prescribed time frame, entering a building or a particular place in space. And because of the pandemic, all of that was wiped out, and they were just as productive as, not only just as, in many cases, statistics show more productive, working from home without the constraints of a time or space. Blew it right out of the water. Blew it right out of the water. Okay, you're asking some great questions. First, let me deal with the time travel question. Okay? First, that word travel is really a misnomer. That's like when I talk about traveling to other dimensions in the spirit. During my sleep time, my soul traveling to different places and spaces throughout the multiverse. And I tried to say this when I was teaching about that particular thing, about souls traveling and all of us visiting other dimensions and other spaces and times, that it's really not travel. Because remember, we are omnipresent beings. That means there is no place, space, or time that we are not. There is nowhere God is not. And because we are the divine expression of God, there is no place we are not. We are a divine individuation of that God in this three-dimensional form. And this individuation of God in this three-dimensional form is consciously aware of itself being, experiencing, and expressing itself in this form, in this time. But there are other individuations and expressions of us in other forms, in other times, in other spaces. We exist in every place, in every time, and in every space. And in all of those spaces, we are consciously aware of ourselves being, expressing, and experiencing ourselves in that time and space. However, there are those highly evolved beings, individuations of us, that have began to understand, and not only understand, but embrace and experience their capacity to be consciously aware of themselves in other places, spaces, and times. At the same time, they remain conscious of themselves in the space and time that they are in. They are then not traveling through time to another time, not traveling or going. They are becoming consciously aware of themselves there. You're there, you're just not aware that you're there. You are there, you just don't know that you're there. Are you understanding what I'm saying? There is no time or space, no place, no dimension where you don't exist. But you are not conscious or aware of yourself in all of those places. As you evolve and begin to vibrate higher, matriculate through the devices and principle practices of meditation and prayer and so on and so forth, all of those 5 keys that I've given you time and time again, you begin to expand in your consciousness and become consciously aware of yourself in other places, spaces, and times. Now you are unconsciously aware of yourself in those spaces and times. That's why when you sleep, your soul travels or becomes fully aware of itself in every place. And you get residues of that awareness in your waking moments that you call dreams. When in fact, you're just seeing the imprint and the impression left by the soul's awareness of itself, experiencing and expressing itself in different time, spaces, and places. And those impressions now have to be filtered through your conscious mind. And your conscious mind grasps for images to try and describe what's being impressed upon it using the images that it is consciously aware of in this time. And so it may grab an image for the imagination or the dream to try and portray the impression that's been made upon it by the soul. And so you'll have, as John did, you start seeing a beast rising out of the water with wings like a locust and eyes, big, huge eyes, and tail like a scorpion. When what he was seeing was a helicopter. He got a glimpse. He became consciously aware of itself. The soul of John becoming consciously aware of itself across time and space, then leaving an imprint on John, and then the brain, the conscious awareness of John, having to find words, a vocabulary within the conscious knowing of John of his time to describe something he was seeing that was in a complete and total different space and time. And so, since there was no such thing as the word helicopter, his mind said, let me call it a beast with a scorpion's tail and huge locust wings and big bulging eyes. Are you understanding what I'm saying? And so you have a dream about you falling from a cliff toward the ocean, when it's really not about a cliff or you falling or an ocean, but those are your conscious mind's representation of the impression or imprint left by the soul from its experiencing and expressing itself in different times and spaces. Ooh, I know that is a complex explanation, and I'm glad I was able to talk it through. Any part of it you don't understand, please ask, and I will repeat anything I need to repeat. Do you understand what I'm saying? That is time travel. Travel being a misnomer. It is really conscious awareness. Okay? All right. So the second part of your question, I'm waiting to see if y'all understand. Nobody's saying anything in the comments. I'm waiting to see if you're going to say yay or nay. I understand or I don't understand. Okay. Yes. 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 Conscious awareness. We call it traveling, going to this place, astral projection. It's none of that. It is conscious awareness. That's a more accurate terminology. We are becoming consciously aware of ourselves in every time and space, expressing and experiencing ourselves in those places. Yeah, you're gonna have to watch the replay. It's deep, Kiwi. It's deep. This is a good one. Okay. So let me go back to your other question then. So what do we do differently as we are being empowered with this knowledge? How do we use this? What's the practical application? Here it is in a nutshell, and then I will expand it to a tree. Okay. In a nutshell, it is: don't allow yourself to be bound by the constraints of the illusion of time. Live your life outside of the constraints of the illusion of time. Stop putting yourself in a position and a feeling tone of anxiety and fear or depression or angst because of the illusionary construct of time. Live, move, exist, express, experience in the liberty and freedom of the abundance of the thing that you created, which is time. You have as much of it or as little of it as you decide. You not only have as much of it or as little of it as you decide, but you get to decide what to do with it as well. Redeem, make full use of time. Make time do what it was designed to do: serve you. Make time serve you, not the other way around. Stop being the servant of time and make time serve you. I had a doctor's appointment yesterday, and my doctor is suggesting a surgery that they want me to have. And I am definitely considering, I'm leaning in the direction of. And her exact words were, watch this: it will add 20 years to your life. How can a simple surgery add 20 years to my life? If time is a constant and time is an immovable force, how can a simple surgery defy time and say to time, no, I'm going to add 20 years to his life? Or am I adding the 20 years because I accept as my truth that this surgery has added 20 years to my life? So I start living like I have an additional 20 years. Why couldn't I choose to live that way now? You are choosing to live like you are running out of time, like you are 48, 42, 58, 65, 75. I was having a conversation with Dee Dee as well, where I was looking at a picture of myself. And I said to her, I said, I want to confess to you that every time I look at a picture of myself, I am shocked. And I'm confessing to y'all too. I'm being very transparent, very open with you. Every time I look at, especially like a full body picture of myself, I am shocked. Shocked. Taken aback, left almost breathless. You know why? Because when I see the picture, it doesn't even resemble the image I have of myself
in my head. Come on. Come on. Because I know I'm not the only one that's in here. I have this image of myself in my head, how I see myself, how I view myself, how I feel about myself, what I feel like I look like, move like. And then I see a picture that seems to be the complete antithesis to what I've imagined. And it leaves me breathless. It leaves me wondering, like, wait a minute, hold on. That's not me. Is that me? That can't be me. Because that's not how I view myself. Anybody else have that experience? Anybody? 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 Y'all answer me in the comments real quick. I'm really curious to know. Anybody else have that experience that you have one view of yourself in your mind, and then you look at a picture of yourself and go, "Wait a minute, hold on, who is that?" I mean, you know it's you, but it is nowhere near how you view you. Yes, yes. Yes. There you go. See, there it is. You just spoke it. That's right out of my heart. She says, dang, yep. That's why I get upset when they don't align. Now I'm working to keep the align. Exactly. Me too. Me too. Me too. I promise you, Kiwi, me too. I'm going like, but that's not how I view myself. That's not how I feel. That's not how I think. It's not how I envision myself moving through life. It's not. What in the world is this? Who is this? This joker here looks like a hot mess. That's not me. I'm serious. Which shows the power of our own conscious mind and imagination. Just as we do with time, we do with our own image. We imagine ourselves one way and we go through life moving, thinking, talking, acting in alignment and concert with the image we have of ourselves in our head. And it's not until we see a picture that is contrary to that that we're like shocked. Like, wait a minute, hold on. And then you wonder, is that what other people see? Because it's not what I see. Oh, goodness. I'm serious. You say, is that what other people see? With you thinking you look in one way because you feel this, you experiencing this, you image that in your mind, and you just like, hey, yes. And then you see the picture and go like, oh my God, is that what other people see? Mm-hmm. But it shows you how powerful the mind is. You are exactly who you decide you are. Here's the problem. And I got this. I'm telling you, I got this. I got this today talking about it while sitting on the couch, and it just hit me. You have this image of yourself, and the picture doesn't match the image. And the image of yourself dictates how you walk and talk and carry yourself and move and speak and interact with other people. But how you see yourself doesn't carry over to your choices and decisions when it comes to food. In that area, you got a blind spot. you don't see yourself in the same way in that image you have of yourself doesn't seep over into that decision-making process. And so you make decisions and choices where food is concerned that align themselves with the image on the picture, while making choices and decisions where the rest of your life is concerned that align with the image in your head. I'm not gonna yell. I'm not gonna get excited, but that hit me like a ton of bricks. It hit me. I was trying to watch Tiffany Cross and just got lost. By the time I came back to myself, she was talking about something I didn't even know what she was talking about. I had to listen for a minute to catch up because it just tucked me completely out. You see what I'm saying? Yes? Laura says, my face looks a little longer than what I see. I quest. I have to turn my head the other way. Yes. Okay. She's like, I can truly relate. It is. But it's real, man. You don't work so hard and gain all that mess back. My problem is I've allowed the illusion of time to take away the importance of balance and consistency. Yeah. Oh, girl, look at here. You just said a mouthful. I ain't even finished the rest of what you said yet. That right there. You allow the illusion of time to take away the importance of balance and consistency. If I do too much trying to get there so quickly, I end up getting discouraged instead of staying the course and forgetting about time. Just now going through this, changing my mindset. My God, yes. Yes. Yes, you got it. You got it. Whoa, you just said a mouthful. Y'all read that statement. Read that, especially that first part. I've allowed the illusion of time to take away the importance of balance and consistency. And so now you feel driven by time and pushed by time and everything at time is like, you got to hurry up, you got to do it, you got to do it, you got to do it. And so she's like, I'm overdoing it and overworking because I'm trying to stay within the constraints of this thing I'll call time instead of forgetting about time and just changing my mind and allowing the image I have of myself to inform every part of my life and not just some parts of my life. What if I let the image that I have of myself inform how I eat, the food choices that I make, whether I exercise or not? I let it inform how I feel about myself, how I move and navigate in the world, how I interact with other people. I let it inform how I, feel going out into the world, my walk, my strut. I got a strut. I think we all do. But I'll admit, I got a strut, man. Especially when I think I am the it. That I'm strutting. You know what I'm saying? But then when it comes to food, it's like there's a blockage there, and that image, the imagination that I have of myself, the view I have of myself stops. And then time says, it's time to eat. It's time for you to eat. You haven't eaten all day. You need this. You need to get that. You hungry. And there I bow to the constraints of the time. Are you understanding what I'm saying? Man, that's good. That's good. Okay? Beverly says she had an awakening about 10 years ago. That's wonderful. Gloria says, I lost weight like I want to buy my body. Yeah. like I want to, but my body is so wrinkled. Mm-hmm. Trust me, I understand. Okay? So the purpose of this conversation, and I've been on for over an hour. Here we go with time again. But I've been on for over an hour. It was my intention to limit myself to the constraint of a 30-minute time limit. It seems like I ain't really dealt with that time too well. But to free ourselves from the constraints of time, the limitations of time, by allowing the truth of the illusionary, imaginary nature of time to flood every part of our conscious mind and our being. Imagine being able to become consciously aware of yourself across all space and time. To, like a movie, observe yourself being and expressing yourself in every place across the multiverse. To encounter yourself being and expressing and experiencing itself across the multiverse. And there are different versions of you that are already at that point, and observe you being and expressing and experiencing yourself in this time that you are consciously aware of, hoping that you will become consciously aware of it, you, in every other time and space and place. Are you understanding what I'm saying? Imagine the advantages. Hmm? That's all a prophet, psychic, seer, clairvoyant is. Someone who has mastered or beginning to master or have mastered to a certain degree their ability to become consciously aware of others as well as themselves across time and space. Because everything that will happen in your life is already happening. And if I'm able to become consciously aware of what's already happening in your life in what the constraint of what we call time, then I'm able to accurately prophesy, predict, premonition what will happen because it's already happening. Did y'all catch what I just said? Goodness. I am struggling not to just get too hype and excited. When a prophet, clairvoyant, seer, psychic is someone who has mastered to some extent their ability to become consciously aware of themselves and others in different times and spaces. So that since everything that ever will happen or has happened is happening right now in the eternal moment of now, in my ability to be able to see those things, to be consciously aware of them, I can now come back and prophesy or speak clairvoyantly, predict, premonition what will happen because it's already happening at the moment. What has happened because it's already happening in this moment. So what you think is seeing into the future is really becoming aware of what is across time and space. Come on, take a deep breath, take that one in. I said, what you think is seeing into the future It's really one's ability to become consciously aware of what is across time and space. I want to holler right now. I swear to God, I want to holler. I'm trying not to. I want to holler and run around this studio right now. Breathe into that one. Okay? When we watched the movie Wrinkle in Time, it opened my mind to things I didn't realize going on with me. Exactly. That's a perfect example. A Wrinkle in Time. Beverly said, just imagine Ethiopia. You must not have been here at the beginning of the conversation. We talked about Ethiopia already. Mm-hmm. The fact that it's 2014 there. The confidence I feel and the way I feel that I am is often how others think of me. People tend to see and get the same positive vibe you feel about yourself. You did articulate it very well. Absolutely. Okay. Are you understanding what I'm saying? That's why everyone has the ability to prophesy, because everyone has the capacity to become consciously aware of not only themselves, but others and this world collectively across every time and space, and be able to accurately predict, prophesy what will be, because it is right now. Everyone can prophesy. Everyone is clairvoyant. Everyone is a psychic. Everyone. You have the capacity. You simply have to tap into your infinite capacity of knowing. Time is here to serve you. Listen to that again. Time is here to serve you, not for you to serve it. Time is a human construct. It has not always existed, nor will it always exist. It will only exist for as long as we decide to give it life. The moment we decide it no longer exists, or the moment we decide to measure it differently, or we decide that it will be performed differently, time morphs into whatever we choose it to be. It's our creation. We have the power over it. So you're not running out of time. You're not too late. You're not too early. Your days are not shortened. You're not running out of time. You're not too old. You're not too young. None of it. Reclaim your power and let this free you. Whew. It's good conversation, huh? This is the good conversation. All right. Any other questions before I jump off? Oh, referring to the time you've been online. Oh, think about Ethiopia. Yeah, so haven't been on that long, huh? A day is as 1,000 years, so it ain't even been a day, so I haven't even been on for a millisecond. So, any questions before I jump off? Listen, let me remind you I am in the process. I'm doing the shopping now, looking around, comparing prices um, of upgrading our system here, getting better lighting, better cameras, and we got to get a much better computer and processor with a faster processor, um, so that we're able um, to bring you these conversations, continue to bring you these conversations um, in a more excellent way. Technology is constantly evolving and getting better, and so it's time for us to upgrade. Um, if you'd like to contribute and help us to be able to purchase the equipment, then I would greatly appreciate your generosity in doing so. You're not obligated to do it. Not going to stop broadcasting if you don't. I'm not going to be on here saying you're going to get this huge blessing if you do. And I'm not handing out, a gift. If you help me in this moment, I'm going to send you one of these anointed pens. When you use this pen, you'll be reminded of your gift, and it's going to cause the blessings to just rain down on you. No, nonsense. None of that. This is just an opportunity for you to show that you value these conversations and you'd like to support and help us in the purchase of new equipment. If you'd like to do that, then I welcome your generosity. Let me put the banner up. You can do so by using one of the means that are on your screen right now. Go ahead and do it now or as soon as possible, because I am trying to go ahead and decide and make the purchases as soon as possible. You can use the Cashapp, which is Emerge LEC, or our Zelle, which is the email that you see on the screen, ijmiles38@gmail.com. And as always, I'm grateful and thankful for your generosity and your support in helping us to bring these conversations to the world. Okay? All righty. So thank you guys for tuning in, for being a part of the conversation. I hope you've been having a spectacular day and that the rest of your day is filled with joy and happiness and peace, and that you are now redeeming the time. Goodbye.